In the eastern part of the western Mediterranean of this great African generation lies a piece of land, occupied and surrounded by a group of people. If I grab all the colors of the rainbow and construct every phrase that has not been used, if I use all the wonders of my experience in life to paint a picture of the dynamism and the glorious and humorous aura and beauty that I see in these people, it will not be enough. When I watch their culture and their courage and their valor and their strength and their style and their finesse and their slangs and the way they carry themselves when they move, their music style, their dancing style, their language construction style, when I look at their proverbs and their adages and the way they engage in arguments and discussions, when I look at their courage and their strength and the power that Jehovah Elohim has given them in their prevailing battles and their persistence in their way of life, when I watch the wisdom of this group of people, the way they reason, the way they solve their problems, the way they approach and strategize about their problem, and their ability to turn sand into gold and persecution into honor. I am talking about the Igbo nation in eastern Nigeria. The first thing I want to do is a reaction. People say that the white men say that the Igbos are very difficult to control because they are stubborn, they are irresponsible, and they find it difficult to be under any group of people. And many of us have believed what the propaganda of the white men, up to the fact that we gave ourselves a slogan that Igbo enwereze, which means that Igbo does not have any king or leadership, that everybody is going wayward. I would like to react to that as the first thing I want to do. Hello, I am your friend. My name is Chuma Nzeribe, and I'm an Igbo man. I want to talk about my race. I want to talk about my pride. I want to talk about where I belong to. I want to talk about the group of people and the culture and the reminiscence and all the things that molded me to who I am. I want to defend them. I want to stand with them. I want to proclaim their liberty with them. I want to submit my contribution of all my researches and all the things I have done and gathered together so that my children and my children's children and your children and your children's children will see the new generation of the rising sun, the new generation of the people that are coming to take over the world, the Japan of Africa, the Dubai of Africa, and the soon coming capital of the black race all over the world, the Igbos. Like I said to you, I am going to react on the fact that there is this false notion, that the Igbos are very irresponsible, that the Igbos are very crooked, that the Igbos are very corrupt, that they are dirty, that they cannot gather together and be under one person. Let me start from the family setting of the Igbos. I'm going to show to you a family setting and structure that no other tribe in Africa has. This family setting, the only place you can see it is among the culture of the Jews. And as we continue what we are talking about, you will see the reason why the culture of the wisest people on earth is inherent in the Igbo culture. Now I want you to listen very well. The Igbos have a formal and dynamic setting than any other tribe in Nigeria. The Igbo family setting has the father and also the mother. The father and the mother are maybe girlfriends or whatever that came together and became life partners. The father is the president of the house. The mother is the vice president of the house. And among the children, you have the opera, the first son, and the ada, the first daughter. The opera is the captain of the team, is the captain of the family, whilst the ada also is the assistant captain of the family. The Igbos are so powerful. Wait, I will explain to you. It is so dynamic, it's so perfectly united together. The Igbos practice what is called the extended family, which comprises of the cousins, the aunties, the uncles, the sons and daughters-in-laws, the niece and nephews. These are what is called the extended family. I've lived in America, I've lived in London. When you come there, once you are 18, you don't have anything to do with your parents anymore. But here, we have things to do with ourselves, because through this extended family, we have a setting of pillars and support group among ourselves. This extended family have their jobs in correcting the children, in helping the children, in helping in the social life, and in gathering resources together for the sustenance and growth of the people that belong to that particular family. We also have, through this extended family, we have an extended people that are also called the clan. The clan. The clan is made up of closest relative families, this family and this family coming together by blood. Then they gather themselves together and they call themselves a clan. Now, amongst the clan, you have what is called the head clan. The head clan. I'm talking about the structure because what I want to address now is the fact that it was said that Igbo people does not have a structure. They are like, if you give birth to a child, this one will give birth to children, this one will follow the east and this one will follow the west. It is not so. And I want the children and the youth and all the people that are our age mates to know that there is a dynamic family structure in Igbo land. We practice the nuclear family. We also practice the extended family. Now, these clans, when they gather together, they form what is called the village. The village. And we have the father as the president of the family. We also have the head clan, whom all the fathers are under. Now, we have the village head. The village head is like a resource chief, an advisor. And the village head is always the person the man that is the oldest in the village. In some places they call the village head the Okenye, or also they call him Ogene, or whatever they call him. But this is the person that is oldest among the people. Now, different villages will now gather together. When these different villages gather together, the way the clans gather together and the way the family gather together, when these village heads gathers themselves together, they will have one leader. This leader is called the traditional ruler. The traditional ruler is the king or the eze or the Igwe, depending on the varieties of names that they have for this ruler. This ruler is both the president of the nation and then the president of the nation, and then he is also the high priest, depending as the case may be. Then we have the gathering of the different Igwes together. And this gathering of the different Igwes together will have what is called a central king. This central king, all the Igwes are under them. This is the structure of the Igbo family. It means that the father and the mother will checkmate the Opala and the Ada. The Opala and the Ada will checkmate the other children. And the clan head will checkmate the fathers, and the village head will checkmate the clan heads, and the traditional ruler will checkmate all the people gathered together. It's a wonderful structure. It's a wonderful thing that we need, to know. So how can Europeans come and say that there is no good in the Igbo? I think the problem with the Europeans when they came here is that they saw a very solidified culture, a very powerful structure, a very undiluted structure and culture and wisdom that they could not mesmerize, that they could not confuse, that they could not, that was the reason why they went away from the Igbos, because it was so organized. The Igwe cannot do anything without consulting his Ozo and the Ides. The Ozo and the Ides are his cabinet. And the Ozo and the Ides cannot do anything without consulting the village chief. And the village chief cannot do anything without consulting the head clan. And the head clan cannot do anything without consulting the Omona and the fathers. And the father cannot do anything without the approval of the Ada and the Diobala. And the Diobala and Ada cannot do anything without the approval of the children. And the children could not do anything without the approval of the slaves and the people around. So this is a wonderful thing. I want you to know that the Igbo people are well organized people, structure that has never been seen in Europe, structure that has never been seen in anywhere in the world. They have their mind. Before you do anything with them, you have to convince them, you have to tell them the reason why you want to do it. They are not like maybe other tribes that the head, the emir or whatever will tell them whatever they will do, vote for this person and everybody will go. No. You have to convince an Igbo man with your character, with your integrity, with your wisdom, and he will be convinced with you before he follows. Maybe that's the problem of the Igbo, and it's also the problem of every intelligent people. Because these people I'm talking about, I'm not flattering them. This is what I saw. And most of the things I'm telling you here were the things that we researched from articles that were written from non-Igbos, articles that were written from even people from Cameroon that wrote about this tribe, and one from South Africa, and one from Uganda that wrote about the Igbo. I purposely wanted to, decided to get away from most of the articles that were written with, by our people. I also want to tell you that the Igbo people have their Nso and their Alo, which they use to checkmate themselves. There are some certain things you will do. They have their oral constitution. There are some certain things you will do. There are some certain penalties that is there for you. Everybody knows you cannot just take somebody's wife or take somebody's land anyhow. They have their also, they have their alo that they use to checkmate themselves, and they have so many diplomatic policies which they use to checkmate, the implementation of the way the people are being governed, and this rule is obeyed to the into because of the structure that the Igbo people have. They have structure. They are responsible. They are not like the way it is said that they are sheep without shepherd. They are not, and I want to reject that. They also have their calendars. Can you imagine that? People that are living in the so-called timid environment, in the so-called timid world, in the so-called bush. The white people give people the impression that the Africans, that we live in trees, that we live with lions. These people have their lunar calendars. They have their market days. They have the way we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and all that in the English. These people have their market days. They have their philosophy. They have their education. They have their history intact. There is no Igbo man that you will call and ask about the way he began that he will not tell you. They have their history intact, and they have their alphabets. They said that the Igbos and the Africans, that they are illiterates. Oh my God, this is propaganda. You came all the way from Europe to come and tell us that we are illiterates. I want you to know, my friends, that before the white men came, that people get educated. They know, they have their money, the cowries that they used to go to market, and they have their alphabet. So this will show you how organized and how marvelously united that these people are before the white men came with their politics, with their propaganda, with their greed to come to scatter us. And when they came around the Igbos, they found a structure that is as hard as a rock, that is as hard, that is unbendable. They withdrew, and they went to our neighbors like the Hausas and the Yorubas and the Ibibios, and they began to tell them, you see, these people, whenever we leave you and you have your independence, you have to be very careful with them. They are very arrogant, they are very scattered, they are very bloody and all that. It's not true. There is no tribe in this country that is better than the tribe, the Igbo tribe. I'm going to address the crime issue very soon, because a lot of people say all the crime in Nigeria are committed by the Igbos. Well, we shall see when I talk about that. It will not be justifiable to say that the Igbos came from one biological source. It will not be justifiable at all. I want to talk about the cultural blends, because I've heard some of the people say the Igbo came from Nri. Some people say the Igbo came from this. No, it will not be justifiable to say that the Igbos came from one biological source. Unlike the Yorubas that came from one father and his 7 sons, or Dudua and his 7 sons, the Igbos came from different biological nationalities. Some are from the middle belt, of this Western Mediterranean that is now called the middle belt of Nigeria. Some are from the southern Cameroon, while others are from around Benin. Yeah, there are some people that came down from Benin, like the Onitsha people and the Asaba people, and some are from the Calabar boundary, while others, like the Agbajas, that is the Udi people and the Kano people, they have been here from time immemorial, and they are not from Nri. So the Igbo people are, made up of different biological, orientations and belongings, and they gather together to create this wonderful culture and wonderful zeal and wonderful paradigm, that has helped them to develop this particular lifestyle that is based on strength, boldness, resilience, and ruthlessness. I will not, stop to tell you that in the culture of the Igbos, ruthlessness, the Igbos are ruthless. Maybe the ruthless part of them has not been used very well, but I want you to know that that lion part is in the Igbo. They can fight. That's the truth. And I want to thank God for Christianity, because Christianity has made a difference as a religion that the Igbos practice. Because if not for Christianity, they are not weak. A lot of things has happened to the Igbo people, and they took it the way they took it, and a lot of people are misinterpreting it as weakness. It is not weakness, it is wisdom, it is diplomacy, it is courage, and it is self-control, and believing that their wisdom will give them a way out. I would like to base the culture, the main pillars of this cultural manifestation in the Igbo upon 2 particular set of people, and I will tell you the reason. It's not that they are better than the others, but I'm thinking that their lifestyle plays a lot of role in this wonderful culture that has never been seen in the world. The first people I want to talk about came from Egypt. Around 948 AD, they came down from Egypt. They landed in Sudan, and from Sudan they trekked down to this particular place and settled in a place that is called the Omombala River, and have their farm, or their farm in this Aguleri. That is the first place this particular people, settled. They are the people that are known as the Nri people, the Enugukus. They are, blood ties that came together and formed this people. Why? Because when they came with a particular lifestyle that you can only see in the life of the Hebrew. And in their history, the father of these people is Eri. Eri is the son of Jacob. These are part of the Israelites that did not leave Egypt with Moses. Moses went to the north, towards the north to Israel, and these people started heading down to Sudan. These particular people settled in what we now call Anambra State, but those days it was Omombala because of the Omombala River. And these people came with politics. They have the first politics that influenced the Igbo land and gathered the Igbo people together, because they practice priesthood, and they also practice, they brought the priesthood, and they brought the market days. So, because of that, because of the priesthood, and because of what is called Eoalo, that is cleansing of abomination, other clans and towns and villages began inviting them through the Ezeri. The Ezeri, started sending the priest to go and cleanse the land for the people, after which was followed by establishing of markets and establishing of markets and the lunar calendar. You see, they played a very wonderful role. They were the people that brought to us the Eke, the Oye, the Afo, the Nkwo. They were the people that brought to us the 21 days of the month of the Igbo race. They were the people that brought to us the priesthood, or those gods that were worshipped those days. They were the people that brought it to us. But there are another people that their lifestyle influenced this. Of course, the Abajas. Don't forget about the great warrior of Nsude that is called Uto. Uto was a great warrior. He used to go for mercenaries to fight for people, against people, employs him to fight for them against the people that are fighting for their land and all of that. There are so many great people like Naju Bodowoyebo in Kano. Naju Bodowoyebo was a great chief, very powerful human being. But I also want to talk about the Aro people. The Aro people are the people that stayed in the boundary between Calabar and the Igbo race. These are wonderful, powerful. I'm talking about the Bende, the people of Bende and Afibo and all the surrounding. They are great warriors. They were the armies of the Igbos. They go from town to town, from village to village to fight, to protect justice and to fight. They fight as mercenaries. They fight on contract. And when they fight, they will be compensated by some pieces of land which they will leave to guard the environment. That's the reason why most of the places in the Igbo race you will come there, you will see Arochukwu people there. The reason why they are living there is not because they don't have land in their place. They are living there because they were the securities, they were the armies. They live with the people so that they will protect the people. These wonderful warriors, I think that is where we got the boldness, that is where we got the fighting spirit. It's from them that we got blended with other people. I'm not saying that any is better than the other, but I just wanted to talk about these two wonderful people that created us. In as much as this wonderful culture and way of life and intelligence and wisdom of the Igbos and their boldness and their strength and their resilience and their ability to turn their sand into gold, in as much as all these things has its advantages, it also came with a particular disadvantage. Because the colonial masters that came that time found it difficult to control the Igbo people. So the Igbo people entered into the bad book of the colonial masters. And a lot of propaganda was said about the Igbo. And it was difficult for education, Western education, not our education. We have our education. But it was difficult for Western education to come to the Igbos because the white men were cooperating very well with the Hausas and Yorubas. They gave the Hausas and Yorubas education. You know what happened? But immediately Christianity crossed the Niger. I am always talking about Christianity in the life of the Igbos because I want to say something about it later. Immediately Christianity crossed the Niger bridge and came here. And Christianity brought the Western education to this place. Immediately Christianity brought the Western education to this place. The Igbos took over education in Nigeria. They took over education in Nigeria, and about 30 years later, in the 20s, go and check it wherever you want to check it. About 30 years later, the Igbos became the most educated and the most literate in Western education. That is where the sentiment started about. The sentiment, they said the reason why there was war is because Agui Rossi did this, Agui Rossi did the other one. And no, it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with the young soldiers that had Q in the 60s. The sentiment against the Igbo started when they took over education in Nigeria. Go and check it wherever you want to check it. They took over education and the sentiment started, the jealousy started. They began to sidetrack the Igbos. They began to, because there was tension. They said these people that are wiser than themselves, they are about taking over the country. The white people around, white politicians around began advising against the Igbos. People like Nnamdi Azikiwe, and M.I. Okpara, and people like Ndem and the Owenus. They traveled abroad that time and got their masters in mass communication, in engineering, and whatever they did that particular time. That was when the sentiment started, and the sentiment continued until the problem in the political problem in the 60s. The political problem in the 60s emerged into a war. And when it emerged into a war, that was when the genius of the Igbo race began to manifest. The tip of the iceberg, the little that you have not seen, you are yet to see about them. I want to talk like this because I want to encourage us. I want to encourage us. You are people of value. You have blue blood. You are powerful. Don't because we are seeing ourselves as goal getters, as opportunists. No, you are not a goal getter. What you have is inside. You have blue blood. You are a prince. You are the prince of the African race. You know. So during the war came not as a correction. It came as an elimination. The war became an opportunity for the so-called Nigerian people to eliminate the Igbo race, because if some people are having problem with the government, you correct them with the policy. But what they did was that they quarantined the Igbo people and shut down the borders. Can you imagine that? They quarantined the Igbo people, took away every. I'm not talking about who is right or who is wrong in the war. I'm talking about the way Gowon fought the war. They quarantined the people and closed the borders. There was no food. There was no ammunition for the people to defend themselves. There was no drug. There was nothing for complete 30 months. The Igbo people were here. There was no supply of nothing. They had nothing. But they survived. Out of that nothing, the genius of the Igbo people and their intelligence in technology began to show up. Do you know they use palm kernel and coconut and produce diesel fuel? Palm kernel and coconut. They used it to produce diesel fuel that could fly airplanes. They produced their own bomb, their own missile, the Obuniwe. They produced their pomades. They produced their deodorants. I don't even know how the young girls of those days survived to make themselves beautiful, to carry. There was no toilet tissue in Biafra. No toilet tissue. The people were quarantined. They were suffering from kwashiorkor, but somehow or the other they were emerging and they were growing tall. 3 million people were slaughtered, killed, and yet they were growing tall. Bomb upon bomb upon bomb. Do you know that these people built an airport and each runway in Uli? Out of nothing, they have their own airport, they have their own runway. They came and bombed the airport. They built another one. They built Uli Airport about 4 times in 30 months. And planes were taken off from there, and planes were coming in from there. The people, the engineers, without nothing, without any equipment, were able to sustain themselves from 1966 to January 1970. The Igbo people were on. Let me say something about this, because I want you to know whether that these Igbo people have been persecuted and they have been marginalized. They have been treated in a way that if not out of their wisdom and reasonableness and self-control, they will be behaving like animals. And you are there judging them. You are there saying evil about them. Let me talk about America and Japan. And what I want to, when I talk about this America and Japan, and you relate it to the way that the Igbos were treated. America and Japan had a problem during the World War. And in August 1945, the Japanese surrendered to America. When the Japanese surrendered to America, America did not eliminate them. America stopped the war immediately. Do you know what they did? They began to sponsor the Japanese people because they found out that the Japanese people had technological prowess. They were the best technicians in the whole world. And America knew that they were having political problem with Japan, but not technological problem. America knew that they need Japan technologically, that the world needs Japan technologically. So in as much as they corrected them in the war, they began supporting them, technologically. And by 1970, most of the technological firms in America and Britain were managed by Japanese people for America and Britain. That is the way to fight war. But the kind of war that was fought against the Igbos is kill them before they grow. It was an opportunity to eliminate them before they become whatever they want to become. But you see, you cannot cover the moon. So the point is that they wanted to eliminate. That's why they will leave little children suffering from kwashiorkor, and nobody gave a damn about it. If you go to Lagos, the Lagos people, they didn't fight the war. None of them knew about what the Igbos go through, and that is why some Yoruba people and Hausa people, they have feeling for us, and they read history, they know what we went through. But other young men in the universities and some of the journalists who just open their mouth, Biafran people, they did this, they did that, they did that. What is the crime that the Igbo people committed? Let me beg for forgiveness on their behalf. What is the crime that the Igbo people have committed that will make Nigeria not to want to exploit the intelligence of these people? That will make Nigeria not, if you go to Aba, you will see people that will sit down and mold your effigy that will look like you. You will see wonderful fashion designers. If you go to Newi, you will see, anyway, I'm going to talk about that. You will see people in the Newi, the so-called illiterates. They build batteries, they build pistons, they build all manner of things in Newi there. They build it, they manufacture it, made in Nigeria, and nobody hears about that. But any little thing that Dangote does, the whole world will publicize it. If a Nigerian man produces, if an Igbo man produces cement, it will be banned. If an Hausa man produces cement, it will be left. You know, a lot of horrible things has happened. But I want you to know that that these people have resilience and they continue. Let me come to 1970. When 1970 came, January 1970, General Oko condemned, and the then Major Olusegun Obasanjo went to Gowon and surrendered Biafra, and they said that Biafra ceased to exist. When that happened, there was another problem of what do they call abandoned property. People all over the world began to take the properties of the Igbos. And in Port Harcourt, somebody will just get into somebody's house and occupy it. If you come, he will shoot you and kill you. All over the place, they took the properties of the Igbos. They also did not release money to them. So all the people that had money, you know, which my father was one of the people, my father was a bank manager then, was one of the people that gave them £20. If you have £10,000, they will give you £20, and that was the end. With that £20, from 1970 to 1980, if you come to the Igbo land, you will not know that there was any war. The skyscrapers was rising from all over the place. People were expanding, building hotels, building companies. Niger Galago started again. People were growing. People were doing wonderfully well, because the more you match these people and their culture down, the more they rise up. I want to encourage them, because what I am saying is landing to somewhere.